Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my ranking for all 9 Spider-Man movies. I'm not including the Venom movies because I don't count them as part of the Spider-Man franchise yet. Maybe later down the line I might, but right now I consider them their own separate franchise and everything, and plus I just don't really care for them. If they were on this ranking, the first Venom would be second to last and Let There Be Cringe would be the very last one. But, so I'm gonna go ahead and get going on here. Coming in at number 9 is The Amazing Spider-Man. This one has been my least favorite ever since it first came out, and part of that when it first came out was I was really salty about them canceling the Raimi Spider-Man 4 for it and everything. I didn't like a lot of this stuff about that, and I didn't really like how they rehashed the 2002 version and everything, and there were a lot of subplots in here with his parents that went nowhere, and I didn't like that either. And when it first came out, I didn't really like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but over the years as I've rewatched it and stuff, he's really started to grow on me, and I do like a lot of things about his version of the character, although I liked him more in the next movie than I did this one, and everything. I think that just comes down to the writing. To me, was a little bit better in the second one. It had a better pacing. This one is really slow and everything, but there are some pretty good moments in here, especially the fight scene with the Lizard and Spider-Man when they're fighting in the sewer and throughout the school and in the library when you see Stan Lee's cameo, which is the highlight of the whole movie for me and everything. But I also think the Lizard is kind of a weak villain, and even in No Way Home he's easily the weakest out of all the villains in that movie too. But I think this one's okay. It just isn't one of my most favorites, but I don't think it's near as bad as I did when it first came out. It has grown on me a little bit, but it still is easily one of the worst Spider-Man movies for me, and it is the worst to me. So The Amazing Spider-Man is number 9, and number 8 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This one I really enjoyed quite a bit. I think it's definitely a huge step up from the first one. The first Amazing Spider-Man movie was just not that great to me. Like I said, I've never been a huge fan of it. I don't think it's as total garbage as I used to, but this one, from the get-go, I did like stuff about it and everything. I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means. It has a lot of flaws, just like another one on this list that I do like quite a bit, but even though it has a lot of flaws, this one, it has too many villains. Electro is pretty cool. I like him. I actually thought he was one of the highlights of the movie. I've always said that Jamie Foxx's Electro was underrated, and he gets a lot better written in the next time we see him in No Way Home, but he's still pretty good in this one, and he's kind of relatable, and I like that about him. And then you get the Green Goblin played by Dane DeHaan, and I didn't like him really, to be honest. I'm not really a big fan of Dane DeHaan. I think he's a pretty bad actor, although I thought, even though I think his acting is pretty bad, I somewhat liked him as Harry Osborn for some reason, because it's kind of gave me that so bad it's good feel to it, and he did have good chemistry with Andrew Garfield, and I will say Andrew Garfield was a whole lot better in this movie. I liked him a lot more in this one and everything. He wasn't trying to be all shy and awkward as much in this one. I think it worked a lot better in this movie because he wasn't trying to be this nerd and stuff like they tried to make him be in the first one, where just couldn't buy him as the awkward nerdy type like they tried to do with that one. But I think he was a lot better in this one, and I do kind of wish we would have gotten to see more of what would have happened with these characters, but all in all, I think that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a decent movie. It's not a great movie by any means. It has way too much going on in it, too many villains and subplots and stuff, but it's an okay movie. It's one that I can handle watching and everything. So I at least enjoy it a little bit. So The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is number 8, and number 7 is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Now, I know this is probably a controversial choice because most people consider this to be one of the best Spider-Man movies, and I've never really got the hype on this movie. This is the one Spider-Man movie that I actually think is a little overrated, but it is still pretty good. I do like the animation, although it is kind of gets on my nerves because at times it's really blurry and kind of gives me a headache a little bit. That's one of the reasons I don't watch it near as much as I do the other Spider-Mans and stuff. I love the story though. I think it's a really great story, and I love Miles Morales. I think he's awesome and everything. I am looking forward to the next movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. I think it's going to be really good and everything, but it just, this movie is just not one of my favorites. I don't know what it is about it and everything, but I do love like certain things about it. I love like how it's a celebration of the character and all that, and get to see all the different versions of Spider-Man in here and everything. They all stood out, especially Spider-Ham. I thought he was hilarious. But Miles' story is really good, and I kind of wish that they would have just done a solo Miles Morales animated movie and then maybe built into the Spider-Verse in a sequel or something. I think that would have made the movie even better. But all in all, I think this is still a pretty good movie and everything. It just isn't one of my most favorites. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is number 7, and number 6 is Spider-Man 3. This movie is a big mixed bag for me, but I do like it quite a bit. There's more to like than I dislike in it, really. I don't like that they shoehorned in Venom and stuff, but I love like all the stuff with the black symbiote suit was pretty good to me. I know a lot of people think it's really cringy and dumb when he dances and stuff, and gets real cocky. I kind of like it though, because instead of trying to make him intimidating and stuff, they just make him act out of character. And although he was acting out of character throughout the whole movie before he even got the symbiote suit, and that was one thing that I do kind of see people's complaints on and stuff. Like, he spent the last 2 movies trying to get Mary Jane, and their relationship isn't going as well as he thinks it is because he's not being the best boyfriend to her and everything. He's kind of gotten cocky and stuff about that because of his popularity as Spider-Man, and the fact that he kissed Gwen Stacy right in front of Mary Jane without even thinking about it just seems really out of character for this version of Peter Parker. But this movie does have a lot of flaws, but it also has a lot of really fun moments too. I always have a blast with it, even the stuff that's really cringy and stuff. Part of it I can just sit back and enjoy it as a so bad it's good thing. But I think the cast are all still really great in here. They all work really good together. And personally, I feel this is James Franco's best performance as Harry Osborn and stuff. He actually looks like he's enjoying having fun playing the character. He's not all serious throughout the whole movie and everything. When he forgets that he's Spider-Man, he actually looks like he's happy and stuff with his life, which is kind of cool because different side of Harry. And I did like that little subplot, and the stuff with Sandman I thought was pretty cool, even though they retconned Uncle Ben's death. I know a lot of people didn't like that either, but it didn't really bother me. I don't know a whole lot about Sandman as a character, to be honest, anyway, so it didn't really bother me that bad. But like I said, this movie could have been a lot better. Like with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it had way too much going on in it and stuff, and some of it should have been changed around. They should have ended the movie with Eddie Brock becoming Venom and then just cut off from there, and then let all of the consequences from that play into Spider-Man 4. I think that would have made the movie a lot better, but for what we got, I think it's good enough. So Spider-Man 3 is number 6, and number 5 is Spider-Man Homecoming. This is the first MCU Spider-Man movie, and I've really loved this movie. It is a blast from start to finish, and it goes by really fast too. Like I love how it has this John Hughes high school setting feel to it. It's really funny and everything. And Vulture is one of the best Spider-Man villains. I absolutely love Vulture, and Michael Keaton does an excellent job playing him and everything, and I think it's just a really good way to bring the character into the MCU. Tony Stark being in there doesn't bother me like it does most people, because most people hate that he's kind of the mentor and stuff, but it doesn't bother me that bad. I mean, Iron Man is one of my favorite MCU characters, but so for a while he was my favorite, although Spider-Man has kind of taken over that. But I love Tony Stark, so he didn't really bother me. I do kind of wish that Spider-Man didn't rely too much on the Tony Stark technology in these first few movies and stuff, but as the trilogy goes on, you kind of start to understand why they're doing things the way they're doing, and I can't wait to see what they do with this next trilogy. But this one is really a good start to the trilogy and everything. I love Spider-Man Homecoming. So it's number 5, and number 4 is Spider-Man Far From Home. I absolutely love this movie too, and when it came out, Endgame had just came out a couple months before, and I was kind of just to the point where I didn't want to see another MCU movie just yet, because Endgame was such a great way to conclude the story for a lot of these characters, and I just wasn't quite ready to pick back up and everything, but I ended up still going to see it because I tried to go see them all, and it was a blast from start to finish and everything. It was even better than Homecoming, which surprised me and everything, and that also might have been part of it, is the trailers just didn't sell me as much as Homecoming did and stuff. I wasn't quite as excited, and at that time, I was having trouble getting excited for movies as much as I used to anyway for a while and everything, because of stuff that was going on in my life at that time. But Far From Home is just a really entertaining movie. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio is easily one of the best Spider-Man villains. I absolutely loved him in this movie. I love like all the consequences that this movie has on the character of Spider-Man, like all the stuff that this movie leads up to all the big stuff that happens in Spider-Man No Way Home. So, but this is a really great movie in the franchise and everything. So Spider-Man Far From Home is number 4, and number 3 is Spider-Man No Way Home. I absolutely loved this movie. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, since it's still a pretty new movie and everything, but I do love that they brought back all of these iconic villains from the previous movies. It was awesome, and we get some really satisfying stuff in this movie, and heartbreaking stuff as well. Like there's some things in here that I halfway expected, but I didn't actually think they would go through with it. I thought that the trailer showed like something that was going to happen, but I was like, nah, they're not going to actually go through with it, and they did, and it really kind of surprised me and stuff. Like you really feel bad for his Peter Parker. Tom Holland really comes into his own as Spider-Man in this movie. Yeah, I thought they did a really great job on that and everything, and it's a really great movie. I saw it twice because I knew just by seeing it the first time I wouldn't know where to rank it, so that's one of the reasons I saw it twice opening night, is so that I could figure out where it was going to be in my ranking and stuff, and how much I enjoyed it on everything. But this is a really great Spider-Man movie, and it's number 3, and coming in at number 2 is Spider-Man from 2002. This one and my number 1 spot haven't changed at all. I don't think they ever will, to be honest with you, but I absolutely love this movie. It's really great origin story, and it's one of my favorites from my childhood. I used to watch this movie all the time as a kid, and Well, this wasn't necessarily my introduction to Spider-Man, because I did watch the animated show some when I was a kid. Before this movie came out, I started watching a lot more after it came out, to be honest, but this was the one that really got me into Spider-Man, and I started reading the comic books and stuff after I saw this movie. I haven't read a whole lot, but I did read some. I never was lucky enough to have a lot of comic books as a kid, but I did read quite a bit and stuff as a kid, and this was just a really excellent origin story. Tobey Maguire is, to me, is the one true Spider-Man. He's my favorite Spider-Man, and he always will be. I don't think, as great as Tom Holland is, I don't think that Tobey Maguire will ever be topped. Although Tom Holland is starting to come into his own, so he could at least come really close to me and everything, but I loved him in this movie. I think all of the cast worked really great together and everything. Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin just steals the show, just like he did in No Way Home. He stole the show in that movie, and he does in this one too, and it's a lot of fun and a really, really great movie. There's not much else I can say about it that I haven't said, but Spider-Man from 2002 is number 2. And my number 1 favorite Spider-Man movie of all time is Spider-Man 2. This is easily my favorite Spider-Man movie. It's my favorite superhero movie of all time. And I just absolutely love this movie. The struggles that Peter goes through throughout the whole movie is just really, really great and everything. I absolutely love that. And Doc Ock is one of the best villains in the movie and everything, and I love like how Peter is struggling on wanting to be Spider-Man and having a normal life and stuff, and like having to choose which one he wants to do and all that. I love that about this movie, and like it's entertaining as heck. It goes by fast every time I watch it, whether I'm watching the original theatrical or the extended version. Both versions are perfect and everything. The extended version, having those little added scenes, just make it a little bit better. It's not really stuff that has to be in the movie. It just little nice touches to make it better. But I love both versions. The cast in here are all excellent. This is Tobey Maguire's best performance as the character. It just is a really, really great movie, and so many great moments. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock is excellent. That fight scene on the train is still probably my favorite fight scene in any superhero movie, and everything. I just absolutely love this movie, and it is, like I said, my favorite Spider-Man movie, my favorite superhero movie of all time, and it's just one of my favorite movies in general. I absolutely love Spider-Man 2. So anyway, let me know in the comments how you would rank the Spider-Man movies. If you don't want to do your full ranking, tell me your favorite and least favorite. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.